Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, Practical Reefer. It's been 8 weeks since I've done a proper video. I threw up a little clip of my mollies eating the algae on the side glass there. You can kind of just tell I've scraped the front 4 or 5 inches just vertically, and then the rest has been left, but we'll get to that in a second. So just a kind of big update of the tank. Last update I was putting in the Reef Breeder Pico light into the sump. And then I've just been busy. We've had summer, it's been beautiful weather, my work's been busy, I've been busy, family, nothing particularly bad apart from wisdom teeth and just getting old and being sore. So, and a few disasters as well, really, with the tank. Tank's doing great, nothing wrong with the tank. Seams haven't split yet, Colin. And just, it's a few coral disasters, which is nothing, I don't think, to do with myself or the tank. But we'll come to that in just a second. So we're 4 months in on the Red Sea Reefer XL200. I do have really opaque curtains here, and I've got black floor mats sitting on my windowsill to try and stop the light coming in, because it'd be even worse, but we'll persevere, we'll get closer in, and we should be able to get away with the glare. So yeah, we're 4 months in since I did my kind of insta cycle, and the mollies went straight in. I've lost a couple of the mollies in the power head, only 1 or 2 in the wave maker, so I'm going to get a guard for that, I think, or possibly change it, because I'm struggling to get away without bearing this corner. I was trying to hide the gyre vertically in the back corner, so it's either going to go up top horizontally, or I might put in a Jabau SLW10 maybe. That should probably do the job, because it's a huge amount of flow coming off of that, even at its very lowest setting. Is still pretty powerful, so maybe oversize that a little bit, maybe keep that one for another day. So when I did the Pico Reef Breeders light, just shortly after that I was keen to get some of the stuff out of the Nano, because the Nano looked awful. Don't know what this room's like behind me. It's looking a lot better today. There was always frag racks in it. There's currently a basket in it where I've got rock flowering enemies, which you won't see from here. So the Nano just always looked terrible when I was really wanting to get stuff out of it, because there was 2 or 3 different frag racks and that basket, and it just could never get to the glass. So started transferring some stuff over. So I put some A-cans and Zoas into the sump. Some of them are actually up into the display now, just on the sand bed. There's so much stuff in here. We'll cover the corals a little bit later. What I did have a bit of an issue with is I seen some really nice Euphyllia. So I was doing quite well with my green frog sprawn at the front here, which is tucked up, almost pressing against my reverse toxic hammer, which is just behind it. That's growing new heads. And then I've got my torch at the top, which you can just see behind the frag rack. I kind of moved that there so they weren't getting too much flow, the Euphyllia that was on it. There's now also some dove snail eggs right at this bottom corner, so when I went and did my maintenance last night, I've left it there. I'll let them hatch first. We'll talk about snails in a minute as well. Yeah, so I popped a lot of that stuff over, and they were all doing very well, and then I've started to buy more Euphyllia. I've also got a little copper hammer. Just last night I noticed that that's gone from 1 head to, it's all of a sudden just split into 3 heads. There's 2 almost coming out horizontally. It's a bit unusual. It's looking good. I can't really get good footage of it because the frag rack's a little bit dusty with algae. Gonnies were doing okay, they were extending out. So I had those kind of hammers and stuff, and I had a few bits from Nessie's and stuff from maybe some other reefers. So I went and bought a load more. I bought like half a dozen items in one shipment. And to be honest, the shipment was poor. I wasn't happy when I first received it. I was also working that day, so I schedule my deliveries normally to come on a Friday. When I'm working from home, to work from home Mondays and Fridays. So Friday normally works quite well for me. So got the stuff shipped, and it basically came just rolling about, tied in a plastic bag with just the frag on the frag plug. Now Euphyllia, if you start bouncing them off of things, they're going to be a bit of a pain, and get damaged, the tips. But we'll start with this. That one's covered. I'll put a bigger one to show you. So as that rolls about, those sharp edges are going to hit. I'm probably not close enough to get a good focus there. It's just going to cause chaos, and we'll come back to these in a second. And I floated them quite quickly. They were double bagged, so they weren't exactly clear bags. and then I had a meeting, and then when it came to lunchtime, maybe just an hour later, I started to look at them a bit more closely. You know, one was snapped off the frag plug. There was other ones that you could see there was tips floating in the bag when I started to then once I then opened the bag and tipped the bag into the jug, which I was going to, you know, acclimate them in and then do dips in after. There was, yeah, just like a couple of them looked okay to start with. Two of them were certainly damaged, but obviously I then messaged the person after about an hour, or about an hour and 40 minutes, and that was too late. And I kind of said to him, I was like, look, these don't look great in the bag when they've arrived. I've literally opened the bags and popped them into a jug to then drip acclimate them, and you know, because I'd opened the bag and because it was over an hour, it was like an hour and 40 minutes. But essentially over the course of a month, just, you know, well, within a day, one of them was clearly dying. Within 2 or 3 days, the one that wasn't as badly damaged was then dying. And you know, I've ended up with, there's 4 different frags. I've got 2 other ones there that have come off the plugs. Just, you know, it was nice stuff. It was like teal hammers, there was a blue hammer, there was a beautiful sort of golden yellowy hammer, there was frog spawns, which, you know, they were going brown within a day of arriving. And 6 inches away from them, I had these grow new heads in the same tank. And you know, the frog spawn, a hammer and a torch, maybe a more basic one, the green. But you know, I got some of these little frags and they were just, and then a few weeks later, a lot of this stuff wasn't meant to go in. I also had the bicolour frog spawn from Prestige Reef, which is really nice, and that's totally fine. So I'm happy about that. So we went through all that, and then just stuff started dying. Then I did a secondary dip on them, and I found flatworms, which, you know, happens that, you know, they probably come from the wild, some of these colonies, or from a tank with flatworms. So they all then started getting dips again, and then I was finding eggs and scraping them off, and I just lost so many of them. However, my 3 sort of original Euphyllia from Nessie's, which is local to me, obviously they went in a bag and I've brought them home myself. You know, I've had them for a year now. They're doing great. My bicolour frog spawn's doing really well. I've got a couple of little Indo golds. They're like a gold streak ones. They're not like full on fancy golds. They're doing really well. I've got loads of stuff that was doing well, and I was like, let's buy some stuff online, and it went horribly wrong. So unless it's from a trusted seller, to be fair, unless I get from Nessie's locally, I have actually been to Finest Aquatics in Widnes, I think it's pronounced. It's kind of near Liverpool. If you're going to North Wales from Scotland, really, really cracking. Freshwater, marine, everything. Massive store. It's on a different scale from what we've got here in Scotland. So I bought a load of rock flower anemones, which are in the nano. So we'll do another update in the nano in the next couple of weeks. And the second time I was down there, we went down to Liverpool for a few days. I bought this sort of Euphyllia on the sandbed. Some of it was like £20 a piece, some of it was £45, but got a really, really nice frog spawn that's stunning. Another quite nice one, and then a hammer and 2 torches. So this will be getting glued onto the scape in the near future. But yeah, all doing pretty well. I've got a nice Duncan that came from Jamie Q. Some of you guys will see him on YouTube or Instagram. I think it's Corner Reef. Micro Musa, they're all doing quite well. I've got one that's kind of occasionally recedes ahead, but it's always puffy and looks happy, so I'm a bit confused by that. GSP made its way in, but it's just on the sandbed, and we'll have a quick look at the corals and look at that. But I bought from that seller. I'm not going to say who it is and who they are. They're very active on like band and things, and they seem to do well, and other people seem to get great service from them. But you know, I got a repeat order from him for some of the replacements at like it cost eventually, after kind of a lot of back and forward, because they'd arrived alive, which wasn't great. And no, they were the same again. There was actually tips off of the second shipment as well, so not a company I'll use again personally. I'm not going to sit and bash people, but is what it is. It was a rather expensive mistake. So yeah, a bit of disaster there. So part of that was why we've like shoved stuff over really quickly, and a lot of it's on a frag rack. So they got dipped, scraped for eggs, checked, and then a few weeks later was dipped again, and then put into the reefer onto this frag rack for now. Urchin's probably going to get removed because he likes to toss things like my favourite bicolour frog spawn at an ACAN, which they had a bit of a battle, but you know, they're both okay. The ACAN will live with the Micromusa. Yeah, so there was a lot of just dipping it, and I just dipped it in Dettol, even like Indo Golds and stuff. They looked a bit upset for a while, but I would use Dettol and it works really well. And also been speaking to a guy on Ultimate Reef, Howard. How we doing, mate? We finally got there. He started up a new nano, and based on what I did with the Stomatella and Dove snails and sort of brittle star, stealing them from other tanks, he was starting a new tank. So I shipped Dove snails, Stomatella snails, about half a dozen of each, 3 micro brittle stars, and like amphipods, and there's probably some copepods in there as well. Didn't go so well the first time. Unfortunately, they died. It was cooler temperatures, so there was a heat pack. Used one of my many spare poly boxes that I've got from stuff I've received, and I bought some heat packs. For some reason, didn't go so well. So did it second time and just used a smaller box, no heat pack, and no little bits of rubble for them to hide in. There was only 1 or 2 little pieces, and just put a bit of floss in for stuff to hide in, and they got there fine the next time. So nice little start for his tank, a little bit of biodiversity. Sometimes it's a nightmare to find micro brittle stars, and when I was cleaning out a tank this morning, there was like 3 in a sponge that I could have just grabbed within seconds, but to get his ones was a bit more difficult. And yeah, so the tank's doing really well. I've not actually tested the parameters in the last few weeks. I say I've just been so busy. Everything looks good. I don't know if you'll see that there. My cheap £60 skimmer is working away. It's doing great. There's a few bits in the sump. I've got mushrooms in there that are growing away just fine. We'll get turned round and we'll have a look at the tank, and we'll just finish up there. But yeah, just a quick update just to show the tank, where I've been, what I've been doing, and we'll get looking at the corals just now. So guys, here's the tank. This is one of the frog spawn that was in the nano, or the big bit of frog spawn. So that was 2 heads. That head on the left there is now split into 2, and then behind that we've got the, look at the tentacles at the back just swaying about there. That's the first time I've seen them like that. Just some of them are starting to elongate, and there's a little Stomatella snail just at the back there as well. So I've got that as 4 heads, and I think it's 6 or 7 now, or you know, some of them are maybe doubled up and they're starting to split. And then we've got the torch there as well that I had. That's a terrible view because of the lighting. We've got that one there, so that keeps getting knocked off by the urchin, so it's maybe not quite at its best. I do actually need to glue it. It's just kind of jammed into the rock there. So those were the 3 that were doing really great, and then I decided to go and buy loads more Euphyllia, which went a bit wrong. Couple of gonies there which maybe need a little bit of attention with a toothbrush. I don't think the snails are quite covering it. It's the one bit of the tank that seems to have a touch of algae, which is those 2 gonies. My bicolour frog spawn from Prestige Reef, which has 2 mouths now. You can't quite see, there's, oh, it's going to be a terrible angle. So you can see a mouth from this side, and then there is a mouth just, you'll see it there, yeah, there's another mouth there. So that's got 2 mouths, so that's on its way. And this is the little copper coloured hammer. So it was kind of just a head in the middle, and you can see there's like one going off to the left, but there's also one going off to the right. So happy with that. And then I think that's a teal hammer there, and then I've got an ultra green tucked away in, and a little kind of, I think it's a gold or a peach frog spawn, which probably one of 2 or 3 of those are the only surviving Euphyllia I got from that supplier, and I think I got 8 shipped. So not great, but all otherwise mollies are doing quite well. They need fed, that's why they're up there. And there's a gold streak Indo torch, and there's another one there as well, sort of different amounts of gold. I don't have heavy blues on this tank. The max spec light isn't a heavy blue light. GSP's made its way in on a block. Whether it goes on the back wall, we'll decide. This is my nemesis. He actually threw the bicolour frog spawn onto, it was a little ACAN frag which I had in there, which is okay, it's in the sump just now. And then I've got this green ACAN, which is Love and Life. This is the little trio at the back are 3 of the ones that were attacked by my peppermint shrimp in the nano. So they're all coming back and looking pretty happy. They'll hopefully start growing new heads, or I think they have actually. It's really hard to keep track. And then I've got this one which looks great, it's very happy, but it looks as though it's lost a couple of heads on the edge, whether it's just been a bit upset by something, or it was maybe a bit too much light. So I've moved it down a bit and turned the lights down as well, just 10%, and see if that makes a difference on that one. This guy probably needs to go because he likes to throw things at other things. There's one of our little dove snails there. Also, I was going to take the rack out and clean the tank properly, but as you can see there, that's dove snail eggs. So there's 5 clutches, would you call it, or pouches, and there's probably about 10 little eggs in each one. So there's a whole load of cleanup crew in there, and honestly during the day, I mean, there's a dove snail at the back at the bottom. It actually appears the label's coming off my wave maker. I'll need to deal with that. There's quite a few dove snails, and actually there's a stomatella, just that's that white thing just at the back of the hammer. It's not a good angle, but yeah, everything's doing pretty good. And there's another couple of torches there that I just got from Finest Aquatics. Nice frog spawn there, a splatter hammer. Some of these bits were £20, so pretty happy with those. The frog spawn was not, that was probably about twice as much. But that, when it's in a bit less flow, it gets absolutely massive. So I'm probably going to move it from where it is just there. That got dipped last night and transferred over and put on the sand bed. So that one needs to get moved, I think, into a bit lower flow because I don't want it peeling off there. But yeah, there's all the corals in the tank. It was a bit of a rush with some of these Euphyllia just to get them over, because I was starting to see like flatworms and eggs and things. What I will say as well, cleanup crew wise and nutrient wise, this back glass has been scraped maybe once early on. It's certainly not been scraped for the last couple of months, and it's just got sporodid worms and little bits and pieces. So it's pretty, you know, bringing in this one piece of rock, which you'll see there's got one of my micro brittle stars. You'll never get a focus on that. Do you need to that large? Oh, there we go. So, you know, this was an import bit of rock. Well, probably that'll come out, and same with that bit of rock underneath there. That was taken out from a mature tank. It has helped absolutely no end. Also, adding the dove and the stomatella snails has been brilliant for this tank, I think. But we'll come back to the tank in a few weeks. We'll start placing all the torches are going to go onto this sort of top rock and the 2 ledges, and then all the Euphyllia, or sorry, all the frog spawn or Fimbrophilia, like the frog spawn and hammers are probably going to go down there. It's going to be a bit of a job gluing it on, I think, but I think it'll look good once it's done. But that's the plan there, and then things like Micromusa and Goniopora are going to go into these ledges, and then I'm going to cover these with mushrooms. I've also got loads of mushrooms in the sump, but it's dark just now, and this video's gone on a little bit as it is, but just an update on the tank, guys. It's looking good. As I say, I've been busy, it's been summer, it's been a bit mad, but I have not stopped buying corals. But thanks all very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the little update. We'll get some more regular ones on the go and let you see everything as it develops, and hopefully next time we come back there'll be some corals placed in this tank properly. But thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you all next time.